Yes. So now today we are going to start with the supply curve. I think so. Am I right, or you want to start with the individual supply curve?
Supply curve is fine.
Okay. Basically, supply curve refers to a graphical representations of supply schedule. Basically, it's related to the graphical representation of supply schedule. Just keep in mind. It is the focus of all the points showing various quantities of commodity that producer is willing to sell at various level of price during a given particular of time, assuming there is no change in other factors. See, it shows it's having a direct relationship between price and quantity supplied. When you talk about the supply, so that time it's having a relationship with the price and quantity supplied. As well as you can see, it can be drawn for any commodity by plotting each combination of the supply schedule. So this is the example, right? So like supply schedule, supply curve can also be drawn both the for individual producers and for all the market
Okay.
all market producers. So there are having two kinds of curves like that: individual supply curve and market supply curve. So when we talk about the individual supply curve, so individual supply curve refers to a graphical representation of individual supply schedule only, right? See, let's see how.
Yeah.
Let's see how. So using plotting of some dots, either you can say points, right? So is obtaining by plotting the points shown table 9.1. This one is at each possible price. There is a quantity which of the firm is willing to sell by joining all the points A to E, like this. We get a curve that slopes upward. So objective in the individual supply curve, curve will goes to the downwards, that's upward side and the downward side. Your answer will be slopes upward side. Right. So now let's see how. When when a O to X axis indicates quantity supplied and O to Y axis indicates price. Right. So we can take this example. When price was 1 rupees, right? You can price was 1 rupees. So now individual supply was nothing at this level, right? Nothing at this level, right? So when he buy 2, now he buy how much quantity? 5 quantity, right? When price was 3, when he buys 10 quantity,
10.
price 3 by 10, price 4 by 15, price 5 by 20, price 6 by 25. This one is the last. So in this case, individual supply curve goes upward side from A to E. A to E, right? So now this curve, basically individual supply curve, it represent in a graphical representation. We presented that numbers at the numerical forms in a graphical representation that is called as individual supply curve. Nothing is difficult, nothing is difficult. It's a representation in a graphical formats only. That is called a supply curve. It indicates which side it moves, like that upward side or the downward side. That is why it shows in the graphical representation. Again, now when you talk about the market supply curve, as your definition will be remain same. But instead of individual, you can use market. Right. Instead of individual, you can write down market. Now in this, what will we see in this case? Basically, it is represented, graphically represented from SA, SB, and S3, right? Is obtained by horizontal summation of all the individual supply curve, right? You can see SA, SB, and market supply. So all these things we need to show, we need to represent in a market supply curve, because when we talk about the market supply curve, so that time it will be considered all individuals. SA, it is the first individual, SB is the second individual. Now total market, market demand will be like this, right? So it is a symbol of all individuals. It is a gather of all individuals at one place. Now we can refer with the table. See, when price was one, sorry, as usual, this axis indicating quantity, this axis indicating price. Now, rest of the things we can explain with the help of table. Now, when price was 1, S1 demand was, quantity supplied was 0, right? Here is also 0, and here is also 0, right? But when you buy 2 quantity, then you buy 5 quantity, individual 1, individual 2 buy 10 quantity, and total market demand was 15 quantity. Now, when price was 3, S1 by 10 quantity, S1 by 10 quantity, then SD by 20 quantity, and total demand was 30. Got it?
Yeah.
Now, when price was 4, individual demand was 15, then SD price was 25, and market demand was 25. Sorry, 40. Right? Now, when you buy 5, price was 5, SCA demand was 20, B demand 35, and market demand was 55. Got it?
Yeah.
When price was 6, individual demand was 25, individual B demand was 40, and market demand was 65. 65. Right? So it is a representation of entire numerical forms in a graphical representation. That's a curve is called as market demand curve. So basically, what will happen in this case? Market supply curve is also positively sloped due to the positive relationship between the price and quantity supplied. So now objective. In a market supply curve will be upward side at the downward side, either positively sloped down. So positively sloped, so your answer will be positively sloped, right? So this is called as market supply curve. Now then, next concept is that market supply curve is flatter. Why? Because market supply curve is flatter than all individual supply curve, because this happened because with a change in the price. The proportionate change in the market supply is greater than the proportionate change in the individual supply. Both are changing proportionately. That is why it's having almost similar. But in the individual demand, it's a slope. It goes to the upward side. It's moving upward side. But when we talk about the market supply curve, almost it's looking like a positively sloped. It doesn't show like a downward side. It doesn't show the upward side. It's having at the neutral level like that. You can see, right? Because it's changing, proportionate is changing in the price. That is why proportionate is changing in quantity also. Now, slope of supply curve. As stated before, the slope of curve is defined as the change in the variable on the y-axis divided by the change in the variable of x-axis. If y-axis is changing, then obviously x-axis will be changed. Right? The slope of supply curve equals the change in the price divided by the change in quantity. So formula will be slope of supply curve is equal to change in price delta P delta Q. This is a simple formula, right? The second thing is that the second thing is that due to the direct relationship between price and supply, the supply curve slope upward side. When the direct relationship between price and supply, the supply curve slopes upwards, so the slope is positive. If going upward side, it means what? It shows the positive side. But slope of supply curve measure the flatness or steepness of the supply curve. So it's based on the absolute change in the price and quantity. Absolutely changing in the both things, in the quantity as well as price also. So this is the example. This is the example. See how in the given diagram, when the price rises from 4 to 8, then the quantity supplied increases from 2 to 4 units. In such a case, the slope of supply curve will be 8 minus 4 and 4 minus 2. It's a changing of only 2. It is having a difference of only 2. Why? Because in this case, both are changing simultaneously. Price as well as quantity both are changing randomly. Right? That is why it is affecting on the supply of the commodity. Now let's see how. Now here is a quantity 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 4. अभी यहाँ पे देखो 8 minus 4 is equal to 4. 4 minus 1. If you divide by 2, it comes 2 to the 4. बराबर है? So your answer will be 2. Common answer. So from delta Q and delta P, price was increased by 4 to 8 and quantity was changed by from 2 to 4. 2 to 4. Right? Now it goes to the upward side. It goes to the upward side. So it is the symbol, this is the sign of changing in the price and quantity. Changing in the price and quantity. Right? So what is the rule of law of supply? You got it up to this?
Yeah.
No. According to the economists, how studied the behavior of sellers, they have studied the behavior of buyers. As a result of their observation, they have arrived at the law of supply. Law of supply states that direct relationship between price and quantity supplied. You can keep in mind only this concept only, because keeping other factors are constant. Other factor will be remain constant, but it's having a direct relationship between the price and quantity supplied. For that reason, some have assumptions also. While setting the law of supply, the phrase keeping other factor constant, only price is changing. Only price is changing. Right? Only price is changing. Now, this phrase is used to cover the following assumptions on which of the law is based. Now, price of other goods is constant. You can take an example of tea and coffee. There is no change in the state of technology. There is no change in the manufacturing and technology. Price of factor production remain the same. There is no change in the taxation policies. Goals of the producers remain the same. But what is changed? Only price is changed. Right? Now, law of supply can be better understood with the help of this example. See, in this case, when price was 1 rupees, quantity supplied 0. When price was 2, quantity supplied 10. 3, 20. Whenever price is changing, quantity also changing. But other factors are remain constant. All these are the factors are remain constant. Only price factor is affecting on that quantity supplied. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
So you can again we can understand with the help of graphical representations. This is the indicating of x-axis and this line is indicating y-axis. Quantity supplied and price. Now, when price was one, quantity supplied was 0. Quantity supplied was 0. Now then, when price is increased from 1 to 2, he buy 10 quantity. When price is increased from 2 to 3, he buys 20 quantity. Price increase from 3 to 4, he buys 30 quantity. Price increase from 4 to 5, he buys supplied 40. When he price increase from 5 to 6, quantity supplied is 40 to 50. So again in this case your slopes is going to the upward side. Your slopes is going upward sides. So this is the graphical representation of assumptions of supply curve. Now, second thing again, few important points are given there about the law of supply. It states that positive relationship between the price and quantity. In this case, having a positive relationship because when your price is increasing, demand also increasing. That is why it's positive. It is not happening when your price is increasing, quantity is not decreasing. It didn't happen like this in this case. Why it is called as positively? When your price increasing, quantity supply also increasing. That is why it is called as positive, right? Now it is a qualitative statement, as it indicates the direction of change in quantity supplied, but does not indicate the magnitude changes. It means what? It's a qualitative statement is given here. Direction of change in quantity supplied, like this upward side, it does not indicate the magnitude changes. It is going upward side normally. There is no changes in this diagram. It does not establish any proportional relationship between the change in price and the result change in the quantity supplied. It does not establish any proportionate change, relationship because it's going, smoothly changing, price changing randomly, quantity simultaneously, quantity also changing. Law is one-sided as explains only effect of change in price on the supply and not the effect of change in supply on the price. In this case, only one thing is shown that only price factor is affecting on the supply, but it never said about the supply factor will be affecting on the price. Never said in this assumptions. इसका मतलब क्या है इसमें ओनली assumption प्राइस का ही इंपॉर्टेंट बताया गया है सप्लाई का इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं है बट जब ज्यादा सप्लाई होता है what will be happen in this case never said in this assumptions, right? But in this case again having some reasons of law of supply. In for what reasons this could be happen? First of all, profit motive is this is the major factor which is affecting on the law of supply because law of supply basically it's related to the price and profit motive obviously when price is increasing obviously supply also increasing, same thing is happening. The basic aim to producers supply commodity, it is secure to maximum profitability also. When the price of commodity increases without any changes on the cost, obviously it increases the price, profit of the company. Entire factors are remain constant, but other case, producer increase the price of the commodity. It means what? Producer is getting maximum profitability. He's not spending any 1 rupees more than as earlier, cost. But still he's increasing the price of the commodity. So that is why he's getting maximum profitability. So producers the supply of commodity by increasing the production. On the other hand, with a fall in price, supply also decrease as the profit margin decrease at a low price. If he decided to decrease the price, if he decided to charge the less price, obviously he'll get less profitability, as well as second factor affecting on the supply because low price, low supply, and low profitability. Now, second thing is that change in number of firms. A rise in price induces the positive producers to enter into the market to produce a given commodity as soon as to earn higher profitability. Increase in number of firms rises the market supply, however, the price starts falling. See, if you there is having only one product in the market, there is having only one company for producing that product. But suppose for the same product, if n number of producers is coming into the market, what will happen? Every producer, they are trying to reduce the price of the commodity. It means what will happen? Profit margin will be decreased,
Less, yeah.
right? Supply will be decreased because it is segmented market among the all producers. So what will happen? They will get less profitability, less margin, and less supply. Right? So this is another factor. Now change in stock. When the price of good increases, the seller are ready to supply more good from their stock. If suddenly prices increases, then seller also try to is ready to sell a maximum product into the market with the higher price and to get a maximum profitability from that stock. Most of the time, what will happen? Producers having a huge stock, but they are not bringing into the market. Why? Because of the reason they want to create a shortage. After creating a shortage, when demand will be increased, then they will issue that stock with the higher price. It means what? Creating a shortage into the market about a particular product. And once created, if they become a successful trader, businessman to create a shortage and then sell into the market with a higher price, then they'll get maximum profitability. But every time it could not happen because it's having a control of government to restrict that kind of things. So for that reason, having some exceptions also. We cannot apply these assumptions and these rules for everything. Having some assumptions and exceptions also for that. Let's see which are the exceptions. Number one, future expectations. If seller expect a fall in price in future, then the law of supply may not hold true. In this situation, the seller will be willing to sell more even at a lower price also. However, if they expect the price to rise in the future, they will reduce the supply of the commodity in order to supply the commodity at higher price. This kind of thing, this kind of thought, it could not be applicable in the law of supply. Because market is total unpredictable. Right? Now, agricultural goods, the law of supply does not apply for agricultural goods forever. Why? Because as their production depends upon climatic condition. See, compared to the every year, this year rain fell down double. But averagely, it happened double rainfall. So due to that reason, farmers cannot cultivate the farm properly because climatic condition. If climate is not with them, then producer cannot do anything because each and everything is depend upon agri sector. Right? And if producer think like that, I'll produce this kind of thing, I'll produce this kind of thing, but it could be happen depend upon the climatic conditions. But producers cannot, imagine, and they cannot apply that theory in the law of supply because this is the exception. Suppose if due to unforeseen changes in the weather, the production of agricultural products is low, then the supply cannot be increased, even higher prices also, because there is no raw material, there is no production. Even though if he is ready to pay higher price for the raw material, it could not be happen because there is no raw material available into the market. Then perishable goods. In the case of perishable goods like vegetable, fruits, etc., sellers will be ready to sell more even if prices are falling. But it happens because seller cannot hold such goods for a long period, like that milk, vegetables, fruits. You know that, I know that. In future, apple price will be increased. It will be happen double. But is it possible to preserve that, for 5 months, 6 months? Not possible, right? So it will be, what will be happen? It will be decomposed after a certain period. It is not ready to eatable, right? Now, rare articles and precious articles are also outside the scope of law of supply. Example, supply of rare articles like painting of Mona Lisa cannot be increased even if their price is increased. This is the ideal example of Mona Lisa. Now, backward countries. Backward, it means what? Underdeveloped countries. In economically backward countries, production and supply cannot be increased with the rising price due to shortage of resources. Right? Wherever having unavailability of resources, in this case, we cannot apply this kind of rule. So these are the exceptions. This is the law of supply theory, right? So we have covered today supply curve, market supply curve, slope, supply curve, then law of supply, the important points and reasons of law of supply, exceptions, assumptions, each and everything we have covered today, right? Now, movement along the supply curve. When the quantity supplied of commodity change due to change in its own price, keeping other factor remain constant, it is known as changing in the quantity supplied. It is known as changing in the quantity supplied. See, everywhere your other factors are remain constant. Only one thing is changed. Only one thing is changing. That is called as price. That is why it is affecting on the supply of the commodity. Right? So again, we can see with the graphical representation, and we will understand with the help of graphical representation. See, in this case, there can be either downward movement or upward movement along the same supply curve. Let us understand the movement along the supply curve with the help of figure 9.4. See, now in which situation demand curve at the supply curve it goes to the upward side, and in which case supply curve it goes to the downward side. Let's see properly. Now, this is your diagram. Here is O axis, X axis, Y axis, as usual, quantity supplied. Here is a price indication, right? Now, when your price was this price, in this case, you purchased this quantity, right? In this case, now, in which case it goes to the upward side. It is the neutral side, right? When the price rises from O to OP1, in this case, prices rises, right? Then quantity supply also rises from O to Q1. So quantity also increases from O to Q to O to Q1. It means what? It goes upward side. It goes upward side, right? It is known as expansion in supply, leading to the upward movement from A to B. A to B. It goes to the upward side. But in which case it goes to the downward side. In which case it goes to the downward side. Just a minute. Wait. Can you see my screen?
No.
Now, yes. Understood? In which case, it goes to the upward side.
Yeah.
Now, in which case, it goes to the downward side. See, here is a price of O to OP, right? On the other hand, fall in price. When price is fall down from OP to OP2 and OP2. When price fall from OP to OP2, price fall down. Now it leads to decrease in the quantity supplied from OQ to OQ2, known as contraction in supply. Now resulting in a downward movement from A to C along the same supply curve. So this is called this is a curve. This is the line. Now, so this is the explanation of movement along the supply curve. In which case it goes to the upward side, and in which case it goes to the downward side. When price is increased, it goes to the upward side, and when prices fall down, it goes to the downward side. Right? So this is a simple, graphical representation. On this help, with this diagram, we understood it properly. Now, changes in quantity supplied occurs due to the change in price movement along with the supply curve, upward side, downward side, right? Known as expansion. If increasing, it goes to the upward side. It is called as expansion. If fall down, it called as contraction in supply. Just keep in mind arrow. It goes to the upward side, expansion. It goes to the downward side. It is called as contraction in supply. But which factor is affecting on the both situation? Only price factor is affecting.
Price.
Rest of the factors remain constant. They are not changing. Right? So this is called as movement along the supply curve. I hope you understood up to this.
Yeah.
Right?